You've got a guy who loves to work at 8, and Christian Lio-Willie. I just went back and looked at the numbers for his last 4 games of the campaign. Double digits in carries, double digits in tackles.
Our first choice now, number 9 and 10. Is this, if Beauden Barrett plays well, is this what we're going to see for the rest of the All Black season?
In my opinion, it is. He's now got that opportunity through what has happened to Tamaiti to do exactly the same thing. He gets to run out on his home track.
Look at the enthusiasm in your voice and your face talking about the All Blacks again, mate. How cool is it?
How can't you be?
DSPN, the Devlin Sports Podcast Network.
All Black team announced, as you know, and joining us, Nigel Yalden, who I've worked with for a couple of decades. Nigel's back with us here at MediaWorks. I'm back at MediaWorks. And Nige, I hope you're excited by that team being announced, because I am, and I'm excited for a couple of reasons. One, because I love it when the selectors say something and then actually do it, which is, yes, we're going to test all the players in the squad. Plus, also, you can tell by the names that they've put down there that they are thinking outside the square and thinking in terms of, okay, we've got these test matches to come against South Africa, obviously the end of year tour as well of what's effectively a Grand Slam. And we've been saying, well, Mex has been saying, a lot of us have been saying all year, we need some extra height. That loose forward combination had to change. Midfield had to change. Do we go Beauden? Do we go McKenzie? So much. And we'll pick all of that apart. But first and foremost, your initial reaction to seeing the names.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, I guess when you look up front, I mean, not having Williams and Lomax, I mean, this injury that's keeping Tyro Lomax out alongside Tamaiti Williams not being in there, little bit of a concern, but this is an opportunity for Ethan de Groot. Fletcher Newell has been playing absolutely lights out. Like, when was the last time you can remember a New Zealand prop forward playing 86 minutes, followed by 80 minutes, on the back of getting subbed off 65 minutes deep into a qualifying final? So he's clearly playing career-best rugby at the moment. So you don't lose as much as maybe we had thought of maybe a month or so ago. But yeah, I'm like you. It's a big side. You know, Holland obviously increases the height, the weight, but also you don't lose anything in terms of your work rate. You take Vaa'i to the 6, which, let's be honest, still continues to be that one troublesome area. And if he can, no pun intended, lock that position down and become a genuine starting 6, I think that is a massive weight off the shoulders of Scott Robertson and the selectors. Ardie at 7 is what I love. And you've got a guy who loves to work at 8, and Christian Lio-Willie. I just went back and looked at the numbers for his last 4 games of the campaign. Double digits in carries, double digits in tackles. The guy just grafts away, similar to what Wallace Satiti does. He will be a relentless ball carrier. He will be a relentless tackler. He's a big physical body. That's a big physical forward pack, backed up by a good physical bench as well from a forward point of view, Marty.
Yeah, I agree.
There's a lot to like about it.
Yeah, look, and look, I don't care what anyone says about the French team, and I don't whether they're a B team or C team. I mean, they'll come here playing like they always do. If you can smack them up in the first 10 minutes, it gives us a hell of an advantage, but they will be physical. And that signals to me that's how we want to play. Let's just start with that front row, though. Okay, we've lost 2 guys who I think would be first choice. I agree. When I started the week, I actually had Lomax and I had Tamaiti as my 2 starting props. But this just says to me the strength and depth we now have in that front row. Cody Taylor to me is the number 1, number 2, and he's almost better than he was last year or the year before. But I love the depth and the props we got at the moment.
Yeah, I'm still a little bit concerned about loose head prop, and part of me, as much as I like Ollie Norris and like what I've seen from him throughout the season, was a little bit concerned with how he got absolutely skated in the final by Fletcher Newell. And I wondered if there may have been some thought about starting George Bower, just giving Ollie another week within camp, but they're giving him that particular go. That would be my only area that I would disagree with you, Martin. I think Basilio Tosi has been playing very well, so you got good backups there. Tokiaho, again, he's come back renewed. I love Samasoni's approach. He's not calling it a comeback. He's the anti-LL Cool J. This is like, he is just, it's not a comeback. He is just starting
Don't
again.
Call it a comeback.
And he has just had a wonderful second debut season for the Chiefs. So, yeah, there is a lot to like. As I say, just slightly concerned. But again, what do you get out of that front row bench? Good form, for the most part, big physical bodies, and that's really what it comes back to. We've seen what gets the job done in Super Rugby. We saw it. I don't know, Marty, if you saw the French Club Rugby final, which was an absolute cracker.
Didn't see it, sorry.
by Joves, physical as everything. And that's the way this game is going. You alluded to it with the likes of South Africa looming. You look at a little bit of what the British and Irish Lions are doing to a degree as well. It's all predicated by big physical collisions, getting the contest won up front, getting over the game line, keeping defences on the back foot. And this is a clear signal to me, Marty, that this is what the All Blacks intend to do.
Let's look at Ethan de Groot before we move on to the second row. Here's a guy who got in trouble last year. We don't know what he did, but whatever he did, it kept him out of the All Blacks, didn't it, for a couple of tests. Now he's had that dangled in front of him again. You watch that big boy go on his home track.
What happened was he did something wrong that kept him out of a test, and then Mighty Williams kept him out of the test.
There you go.
That's what happened there as well.
Well, what incentive has he got now to say this is my position again?
Because he's now got that opportunity through what has happened to Mighty to do exactly the same thing. He gets to run out on his home track. The other thing too, remember, who was one of the first people that Fabian Holland called after he got named in the All Blacks? Ethan de Groot. So not only has he got that responsibility of being, a senior member of the All Blacks now, which is what he is, and holding up that side of the scrum, which is so vital. He will also be just making sure that his young mate has as good an experience. And we hear it from the All Blacks a lot, don't we, Marty? Putting these players in the best position possible to succeed. Fabian Holland's selection, along with Ethan de Groot, means Fabian is in a great position because not only is he going to have his good mate in front of him, he's going to have the All Black skipper alongside him.
Exactly.
And the guy who has played a lot of rugby and has really stepped up his game in recent times in Tupou Vaa'i, also alongside him in the second row.
Yeah.
Great situation for young Fabian, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Tupou Vaa'i, last year, before we got to Africa, I had questions about, he was just one of those players I thought that he was a bit like Jerome was when Jerome started. He was okay, but he just wasn't playing every game at that level. Then all of a sudden he went, and he was a standout player for us last year. So moving that transition from where he is at lock to the blind side gives us that extra height. I like that. How easy is that to do? How easy is that for him to be able to shift?
I don't think it'll be too difficult because he has played this position before and he has actually played it for the All Blacks before as well. So, again, it might predicate a little bit of a change at line-out time, maybe become more of a lifting option. But, again, Scott Barrett is such a good line-out caller. I'm making the assumption that Scott will be doing the line-out calls for the All Blacks as well. So there might just be maybe a little less use when it comes line-out time. Ball carrying, maybe the odd change defensively, a little bit more work with regards to what reads he's going to have to make from a defensive point of view come scrum time. But for the most part, it's exactly the same, Marty. Be that big, physical, combative body that he has been so effectively now for well over 2 years.
See, and the selectors again did say when the squad was announced, they said, look, we're going to be looking at, because we thought we were a little light on loose forwards with only 5, but they said, okay, we're going to be looking at some of the locks to play loose forward. Now, I've been around All Black rugby long enough, same as you, that sometimes when these things are said, you think, oh yeah, and then they don't actually happen. Well, this lot of selectors are actually saying it and then doing it.
Nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's nice to
makes our jobs easy.
No matter what, in whatever sphere of life you are in, if someone says we're going to do it and they do it, straight away you sit there going, cool. Like that.
I like
Trust
that.
that. Embrace that. Yeah.
All right, those loose forwards then. Kirifi is obviously going to get some game time. We know that. And he's a specialist at, some sevens, and you and me go back way back to when the sevens, like guys like Kevin Everly, were what we call fetchers. They were on the ground players, weren't they? And that's what they did. This guy just locks himself into position and then wrestles for that ball and owns that ball. And Tavatava Ngāwai has almost got the same technique. It's a different kind of technique now. So I expect him to be brought on to do that. My question being, long-winded as always, is Ardie going to be doing that? Are we expecting him to play like that at 7, or how do you see him playing at 7?
I think we got a real good indication of what Ardie's going to do throughout Super Rugby. He's going to be allowed to roam, okay? He is an athlete. He is just so good. He's got such an incredible engine. If you want an example of what to expect, just look no further than that wonderful performance against the Blues.
I was going to say the Blues.
That's the one for me, which I think will be indicative. He will be allowed to roam because he is such a wonderful athlete. You will still see him picking and choosing his opportunities to go in and get over the ball, which he did really well in Super Rugby Pacific. It wasn't volume, but it was timing and quality.
Okay.
And again, I go back to that Blues game. I think he got 3 turnovers in that. The first 2 were perfectly timed at a point where the Blues were really pressing close to the try line, and the final one wrapped up and sealed the game, again with the Blues hot on attack. So I just think he has got such a really nice cerebralness to his game.
Good word.
At the moment. And the other thing too, I think this will mean he won't be maybe as prominent ball carrying. You will still see him do that.
Okay.
But you look at Christian Lio-Willie, and I mentioned again, double digits carrying, double digits tackling. Tupu Vaa'i will be exactly the same. So it means you're not putting that physical stress on that guy's body, even though you know you are still going to get a physical game out of him.
9 and 10. Is this the combo? Now, at the start of the week, I had McKenzie in there because I just thought, okay, is he going to eventually be that guy? Here's your chance again against France. I think he will play one of the 3 tests at number 10 against France. But is this our first choice now, number 9 and 10? Is this, if Beauden Barrett plays well, is this what we're going to see for the rest of the All Black season?
In my opinion, it is.
Okay.
And I use the sample size of the semi-final and the final of Super Rugby Pacific again. The Crusaders were bringing plenty of heat to Beauden Barrett, and he handled it better. Damian McKenzie did not. You go back to the first 20 minutes, there were just moments, and they weren't big moments, they weren't clanging errors, but there were a couple of kicks under duress, Cody Taylor flying off the back of a line out, putting pressure on him, and the kicks just went a little bit too far, and they were easy takes for, I think it was Sever Reese and Will Jordan. There was another wee moment there where it was Anton Chalfoun shooting up out of the line, trying to put pressure on him. They really targeted him. They did the same for Beauden Barrett, and he handled it, in my opinion, significantly better. And so, based on that, I think Beauden's form in the latter part of the season was very, very good. Damian McKenzie's it wasn't chopped liver by any stretch of the imagination, but I just wonder,
I think most of us
final 15 minutes of the quarterfinal and moments in that final where the pressure came on and he didn't quite deliver.
He just wasn't. He wasn't it, and they needed him to be it. And
not based on what we'd seen throughout the year.
Yeah, agree.
And so I just thought Beauden just with a little bit more poise. Also, as well, a little bit of extra time off as well, because that was a pretty intense final too. I still think you're going to see good stuff from Damian. I agree with you. He'll start one of these tests, and I suspect he'll be very good. And I suspect he would have learnt a lot from the Super Rugby Pacific final series, and he just needs to again understand what time is available to him, because I think he understands that if he just needs to speed up a little bit, he's going to embarrass some people if they try and put pressure on him. He's going to step people, he's going to burn you. But I think for me it came down to, I thought Beauden handled that heat, particularly from the Crusaders, a little bit more than Damian, which is why I elevated him to the top of my first 5 standings in New Zealand at the moment.
A couple of questions. We'll let you get home after that. All right, 12 and 13. A lot of us have been calling for this as well. Proctor has been outstanding for the Hurricanes all season. Rieko Ioane, questions about just his distribution at centre. Has he got the natural instincts and the guile for that? He retains his position. It's actually at 11. It's not 14. It's not often that the All Blacks put out a press release and have the wrong numbers on jerseys, Nigel, but they did get this one wrong, and I think a lot of us looked at it and thought, hang on a second, is that right? Okay, it's just one of the numbers. We know he's going to be playing on the left and Savea on the right. But that midfield combination of Jordie, who stays stuck at 12, comes back from Leinster. I mean, he's been playing great rugby over there. And what do you expect to see from him and Proctor that maybe him and Rieko weren't doing?
I don't really think Rieko Ioane had a decent opportunity to show what he was capable of at centre this year for the Blues. We talk about his distribution skills. You can't put your wings away when the ball's not getting to you. And they were so carry dominant, particularly late in the year. I think his work rate was pretty good. I think earlier in the year, I thought Rieko was actually playing some good rugby at centre. But Matt Proctor came back later in the season. Billy Proctor, excuse me.
Yep.
Billy came back later in the year. Didn't have the miles on him like Rieko Ioane did, but had an instant impact. I think it was 5 in a row leading into the playoffs that they won with Billy playing at centre and just being so good in terms of that distribution, creating, punching through a line. So I think what I expect to see is what I've seen from Jordie Barrett and Billy Proctor when they're playing for the Hurricanes. A very good combination that works well.
Yep.
The utilising the size of Jordie Barrett, but also his ability to be able to get the ball away and then allowing Billy Proctor to either punch through the line or distribute to Sevu Reece, Rieko Ioane on the outside as well. So I just think you really want to see all those things he did again so well for the Hurricanes that we haven't seen enough of in the All Blacks, simply because Rieko was preferred and also the injury that hampered him on the End-of-Year tour last year.
I think that Rieko is also going to be used in that role of the crash through the middle as well. I can see him not only just being on the left wing. Can you see him moving around a little bit?
Oh, yeah, I can see both he and Sevu Reece floating a little bit on attack. But yeah, look, you look at Rieko and he may seem slightly built. Dude's put together. He's
a unit,
and he
no question,
loves the contact. So if you go to him, hey, Rieko, you're our power winger, well, puff the chest out, pop a little post on Instagram, buddy's here, I'm coming.
Yeah.
You know? And so I'm not as down on Rieko Ioane as a lot of people, because I can put aside the stuff that I think a lot of people discriminate him against, which is the social media stuff.
I don't care about that. I just care about the playing ability, mate.
I think there is a large element of society that simply do not understand that, and that scares them. And so that's the reason why I think he cops it a little bit. Yeah, he brings it on himself. He ain't backwards and coming forward in that particular thing.
I love it. I like it. I actually think it provides colour, it provides storylines, it provides... Look, I'm not addicted to his Instagram, so it doesn't worry me at all. All I care about is how well he plays for his...
But I know that winds the living daylights out of some people, but it's the modern athlete. Some of the older generation maybe just needs to pump the brakes and realise that it's not our time anymore, and get with the times and understand this is what some of these young men and women will do in that particular space. Try and see past that and look at the athlete. And I actually think Rieko has not been playing as badly as what some people perceive him to have been playing.
When did we get that old, Nigel?
Was around about 2 weeks ago. I completed another circumnavigation of the sun. I still feel great though, buddy.
Yeah, good on you.
I still feel great.
And also, look at the enthusiasm in your voice and your face talking about the All Blacks again, mate. How cool is it?
How can't you be? I mean, if you've been watching the British and Irish Lions, I mean, even going back to that game in Argentina, in Dublin, which the place was pumping. My wife was over there at the time. She said it was absolutely off the chains.
Go on.
He was there, landed the day that it was the Leinster final against the Bulls. She said it was absolute carnage.
She went over to watch the rugby?
She didn't go over to watch the rugby. She went over to visit family. Her family's from that part of the world, so she was over there for that there. But she was in the town at that particular time and said it was incredibly busy because of that particular game. The day she flew out was the day that the British and Irish Lions were playing Argentina. Yeah. And then you look at what the Lions have done in their first couple of games. It just gets you ready and going. There's nothing like the first All Black Test team of the new year. And when it is, to your point again, Martin, when the team is named and comments that have been made have been backed up, it is hard not to get fizzed up about Test match rugby in Aotearoa, New Zealand. Bring it on.
This is the DSPN.